All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. It's about 7:15. Thank you, first of all, for your patience. We have a nice spring musical performing, and it's Evita, and it starts next weekend. So if you're in the neighborhood and want to see a great show, it's just very technical, so they're added rehearsal time. So we accommodated them tonight to try to finish up a major rehearsal. So appreciate your patience and start just a few minutes late. But we'll be sure to be concise and streamline our presentation and offer some time at the end for questions down below, okay? Down here. So good evening, I'm Brian Callahan. I'm the principal of Westborough High School. I'm honored to be the principal of this fine high school. As you well know, throughout the district, we really enjoy a really great educational experience for all of our kids at all of the ages. We could not do that as educators, as families, working together to help our kids grow without the commitment of this town. Okay, so our leaders in the town, as well as the parents that make it happen, I want to personally express gratitude and thanks for your support. I know it's can be very difficult at many times throughout the years, to support what we do here, but it is worth it, and we do appreciate it. And probably more importantly, we use those resources wisely. And you'll see some of the offerings that we have and the opportunities, the educational opportunities that are truly excellent here tonight. And I think part of our responsibility in using those resources wisely relate to that our own progress, you need to know, is never ending. We keep working at it. We're not a perfect institution. We're very proud of what we do, and we have a lot of great data that suggests we do it really well. But our progress is never ending. We stay committed to trying to be excellent every single day, and certainly as we develop programs and themes and activities, that's at the forefront of our mind, is how to make these things available and accessible to all students so that they can learn, grow, and develop. And that's our value. We place a very high value on learning, on growing and developing. And you'll see some of those things here tonight. So you can sit back and relax a little bit. We've got a brief presentation with some slides and photos. Maybe a story or two that we want to share. And as I said, we're available at the end for questions down here in front. Okay, some private questions if you'd like. But we do have a lot to offer. It's quite comprehensive. So let's take a look at tonight's objectives first and foremost. Just want you to kind of get a sense of what Westborough High School is. We know that sometimes the transition from one building to the next, right? A bigger building, more grades to have to navigate for your child. Definitely more opportunities, more students, more interactions with kids and teachers. But we want to try to give you a sense on it's not all that big and bad, okay? It's quite good. It's quite good. We want to identify some expectations and opportunities for students to be successful, and parents also to get a sense on what your kids will be doing when they get up here at the high school. I'll be speaking at first, and then I'm joined by our assistant principal, Mr. Matt LaFave. We do have another assistant principal who's on maternity leave, Jessica Barrett, and we separate the alphabet by smack dab in the middle, okay? So A through K is Mrs. Barrett, because B falls in A through K, right? And L through Z is Mr. LaFave, because L falls in that range as well. So it's pretty easy to understand. And we're around, we're very visible throughout the course of the day, and try to have interactions with students that are positive, okay, and responsive, not negative and reactive. And that was one thing that we as an administrative team really try to pride ourselves on about 5 years ago. We wanted to make sure that at the end of the year we could check off names of kids. We could make a list. I know you're not supposed to do that, but we could make a list, and that on that list would be names of kids that we saw in more positive interactions, in positive light than negative. So it's not, and this message is maybe for the kids, not like we're looking over your shoulder, although we will if we need to. It's more or less making sure that if you need our help or guidance or clarity on something, we're there to answer it. Okay? but that's who's presenting tonight. What is it all about? Good question. It starts with our core value. And you can read it for yourselves, and I'll say a few things about that. It starts here. Starts with our core value. I think one of the words that's not in there that I want to throw out is trust. I know it can be very, very daunting sometimes to let your kid go and navigate big high school like ours, more students, more opportunities to be involved, but also more opportunities for mistakes, which are fine. We'll talk about mistakes in a little bit. But you got to trust that the experience after 4 years is going to pay off. You got to trust us that we're going to use the best of our abilities and resources, as I said earlier, to take care of your kid, okay, to take care of your child. We know that parents obviously play a role in the process, but we have found through our experience here that releasing responsibility to your child and to your child's teachers is very, very effective, okay? Very effective. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But it starts with our core value. And one of the indicators that I think shows that this works is our kids are not only prepared for life after high school or for post-secondary activities, whether it be college or career or something else. They're not only prepared for those things, they actually excel at them. Our data shows that our kids are so prepared at college and beyond that that it really is remarkable when our kids are matched up against other students at high-performing schools from Massachusetts or some of the ratings that you see around the country. Our kids do well. And I think the main difference is we talk to kids when they come back and share their experiences. I think the main difference is the fact that our kids lead. They lead by example. They lead with work ethic. They lead with honest integrity and those values that matter so much at levels that are a little bit more mature and more significant. Work, for example, starting a family and those things. So it starts with trust. It starts with some of these things. If you could, again, just take another minute, look at some of those words. Think to yourself, what stands out? What stands out in some of this language? We try to show throughout the course of our building that our beliefs kind of reflect our values. We believe in responsibility. We believe in achievement. We believe in innovation, where that I is outside the box, right? Believe in growth, engagement, respect, and self-reflection, and that obviously spells Rangers. Okay? That's who we are. It's what we believe in. We like to foster a culture of learning, growing, and developing, not one that's about grades, okay? We know grades have to happen, but we don't start there. We start with the standards and the learning expectations and the process by which someone will learn and study and grow. If they do that well, and they learn the skills on how to cooperate and how they can dig in and inquire and assess and help each other and work with the teacher, we find that those grades take care of themselves. Okay? We foster a culture that's about the trinity of teaching and learning. And I've got a nice slide that shows this. So this is kind of interesting. This is something we kind of adopted as a school 6 years ago when I became principal. Our teachers are so talented that their relationships with kids pay off from the first time that they begin to interact with them. Okay? So when you see this, yeah, I do have a pointer. So this relationship here between the student and the teacher starts on day one. Okay? And it is a relationship to be built. And then the trick, really, is to make sure that we can transfer the relationship off to the student, to the curriculum, which is the content, the skills that are important for them to learn and be successful. Okay, so every single day, teacher to student, and then that becomes such a strong bond that we transfer the responsibility to the student to learn the curriculum and the skills in a way that's going to make them successful. And the reason this works, as I said, our teachers are so talented because they care about this relationship, but more importantly, they come here wanting to do this work. They come here with a pre-existing relationship to their content, to the skills that they bring to the table. They're passionate about it, okay? And they oftentimes, again, we're not perfect, but oftentimes what becomes successful is when that teacher turns that student onto those content and skills, okay? That's our Trinity. Goes a little deeper, but I don't want to get too much into it right now because we don't have that much time. But it is about relationships. It's about making connections, making meaning, and that's our vision. So as I said earlier, you know, mistakes happen. I think they're good things. I think mistakes can be very positive. I think you can read a lot about how mistakes lead to enormous growth, right? From failure comes success. I think there's probably not one person in here that can't relate a story or two where they learned so much from doing something wrong. And that's okay. Okay? That's okay. It's not as if we're encouraging failure, but we are encouraging risk-taking that may lead to some mistakes or failure so they can come back and try a little harder. Okay? But we like to see, and it's our human nature, and as parents you probably can relate, we like to see our kids in the most successful light we can. The beautiful, pristine tip of the iceberg, right? It's clear, it's crystal, it shines in the sunlight, it's beautiful. That's success. Well, there is a lot of work that goes into that, right? There's a lot of work that goes into it. And you can see some of them here. We're no different. That happens in the classroom. That happens in the hallways. I can tell you, as much as we say that these things are okay, and that they're happening here is a good thing, not out there, after 4 years, it's good to practice, good to learn from mistakes here. You're going to ask why? Why is it good to learn from mistakes here? It's safe. It's safe and supportive. Okay? You've got teachers, you've got administrators, you've got counselors, you've got people, you've got peers, you've got families. You've got people here that can support and help people learn and coach them up to learn from those mistakes. Okay? This is almost, equally important as the Trinity, right? The Trinity is our value and what we stand for and how we're going to operate, right? This is the process. This is sometimes what it looks like. And I just want to let you know that's okay. Our teachers challenging students is a good thing. Okay? It's a good thing. Because our formula is high standards, matched with a ton of support and encouragement, with a good sense of responsibility. Okay? There is purpose behind it. There is meaning behind it. And there is support to have people learn from it. Okay? So I like showing that one. It's kind of a neat one. So I'm going to ask Mr. LaFave to come up and kind of just talk a little bit more specifically about some of the things that we have to offer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. It's great to see you all. My name is Matt LaFave, as Mr. Callahan said, one of 2 assistant principals here, and I work with students, last names L through Z. So let me see you. Where are you out there? Last names L through Z. There you are. Thank you for the fist bump. I appreciate that. Look forward to meeting you too. Great. Thanks for being here. I have the fun part of this presentation because I get to show you pictures of life here at WHS, but the question behind me is really, really important. Okay, who will you be at WHS? The opening slide had that statement, becoming the class of 2024. Well, what does that look like? Students that walk through this door, they're engaged in far more than academics on a daily basis. And as a school, we see that as a real integral part of our culture because students who are involved in clubs, activities, athletics, after school become invested in our school culture and are more likely to succeed in the classroom. So I'm going to walk you through a quick description list of fine arts, sports, and clubs offerings here. We truly see these as co-curricular offerings. So what does that mean? Well, it means that from our coaches, from our club advisors, from our ensemble directors, we really expect their level of professionalism to mirror the expectations that students have of their teachers on a daily basis. And that way we develop a really nice support system for students outside of the classroom as well. It's important to note that a lot of our offerings are similar to what you've experienced at Gibbons. They're just expanded. So we'll talk about athletics for a moment. You know, your typical sports that you've experienced at Gibbons are going to be offered here as well. Basketball, softball, track. But we do offer additional sports. Just listed a few up here for you, like lacrosse, ice hockey, etc. And then, what I don't know if you have this at Gibbons as much as we do here, but there's a lot of really interesting intramural offerings. So we do have a badminton club that meets. It's become very popular. We started a weightlifting club this week, Tuesdays and Thursdays after school. I see you in the back. Thank you for that fist bump. I appreciate that. I'll see you in the gym. And then futsal is an indoor soccer type sport. How many people are familiar with that sport? Oh, great. Yeah, so I think that's indicative of really who we are as a school. A couple of students came to us asking to start this program. And it was new to us, but it was important to the kids, so our athletic director put that into our program. As I said earlier, the weightlifting club meets in the fitness center. The fitness center is open most days after school at 2:45. It's open till 4 o'clock. You'll see a lot of athletes down there during season, off season, working out, and of course that's supervised. Much rather have you there than at BSC. It's free, and you're with your friends. It's nice to have you here in the afternoon. So this is a little bit of information about athletics. You can look at the high school website, but we'll be reaching out to you when it comes time to register for fall sports. This is some contact information for our athletic director, Johanna DiCarlo. So our email addresses here at the school are last name and then first initial. So if you want to reach out to Ms. DiCarlo with any questions, particularly about upcoming fall sports, her email is dicarloj@westboroughk12.org. We also come down to the middle school at the end of the school year to meet with all the students in the gym and make sure that they're aware of the fall sports offerings. We have a lot of curricular offerings here at the high school, just like at Gibbons. So there's 2 bands, 2 orchestras, 3 choirs that meet during the school day. We have a wide variety of fine arts classes, drawing, pottery, sculpting, etc. We also have theater classes here at the high school that meet during the school day as part of our elective programs. And just like Gibbons, we have like string chamber ensemble, jazz band, a cappella groups. Those all meet outside of the school day. Mr. Martin, if you're in the fine arts program, you're familiar with him already. He's the K-12 fine arts director. He's available for any questions should you have them. But coming up, if you're in the band program at Gibbons, you know that you're going to be participating in the Memorial Day Parade. That's a great opportunity to get to know Mr. Doyle, our band director, to learn a little bit about that program. And just a sampling of the clubs that are offered here. Most of our clubs are student-driven, meaning that a student will come to the office and say, hey, I have this idea for a club. Is there any way that we could get this off the ground and running? And we encourage those students to find a faculty member to serve as a club advisor. They're pretty casual. They might meet one afternoon a week, but you see over here on the left the Women in Science Club. We call this WHS here, Women in Science and Engineering. I mean, so like this afternoon, they brought in a pharmacist from the community, and the pharmacist met with that club and talked to them about her work experience. So it's nice, clubs present a nice opportunity for outreach. You may have seen our beehives out front. We do run a beekeeping club here, so it's pretty unique. A lot more going on than when we were in high school. But a lot of great offerings, and obviously like we love students getting involved with like an American Sign Language club, so there's pretty special things happening here. The building really never sleeps. I mean, if you came in through the front, you walked by students coming in for robotics club, and they'll be here till 9 o'clock tonight. Lots of activities. All right, on to pictures. This is in the main lobby. You don't need me to tell you that this is the marching band, but this is actually happening during the school day. Risky, I know. But it's fun. You get a sense of our balconies here in the lobby. These balconies go all the way up to the 3rd floor. But this looks to me like these students were probably playing during break, which is a really unique time in our schedule. So we run 3 periods, and then we take a 15-minute break where kids just decompress, head to their locker, grab snacks, catch up with the teacher, etc. But this was probably leading up to home football game. We do pep rallies for all different sports, but this is always fun. You can imagine how cool that sounds in the main lobby of the high school. This picture is an oldie but a goodie. We're super proud of this. This is obviously in our wood shop, but there's a lot of important things going on in this picture. They're all smiling. If you knew those kids, you would know that they present a fabulous mix of learners. So our school has made great strides in being incredibly inclusive to all types of learners. When you get all types of learners in the same classroom, working with their hands on a project that they're proud of, it's a win-win. So for the incoming class, this class is going to be available to you next year. This is Wood Tech 1. We'll be meeting with you in a few weeks to talk about all of the elective opportunities. This is a very popular elective for 9th graders. I love that picture. All right, this is interesting. This is obviously a group of students vandalizing the school. No, I'm just kidding. So we do think our school is a very inclusive place. This was actually part of a happiness grant. I'm not sure if the money bought this sidewalk truck, but these students were part of that grant, and you see this one student writing, "Love yourself" on the patio. This is where you walked in tonight. We try to definitely expand the classroom as much as possible. You might be in an economics class as a junior or a senior. You might be outside with that class drawing graphs on the sidewalk area. It's pretty cool. It's a great learning opportunity, but I like that these kids are excited and that they're leaving a message for all of their classmates to see as they come to school the next day. This picture is from the Westborough Senior Center. You can see in the bottom right, this student's shirt says Rangers Give Back 2018. Rangers Give Back is a program that we run prior to the start of the school year, where our students give back to the community. This is simply our students engaging in conversation. Pretty nice opportunity there for them. We're back in the main lobby here. So the lobby, as I said before, is a nice congregating space, but we also use it for field trips. So we consider this a field trip. This is all of our engineering classes. As 9th graders next year, students will have the opportunity to take a class called Intro to Engineering. It's a full year course. And what's interesting about this class is you can see the catapult that was built down here in the bottom left. So on this day, they had like a 3-hour field trip. Students in the engineering class, in one of the engineering classes, built catapults. Students in the other classes built these pasta towers, right? And they had, obviously, building expectations for that. My friend Mr. Parsons is over here with his broom waiting for this pasta tower to be destroyed. But it's really nice to get a group of students together that is outside of their traditional classroom setting, working together to accomplish a task. So we're really proud of this event, and I think this, along with the marching band in the earlier photo, show you that our lobby is really a special place in our building. That time in your schedule for a break, the lobby is a pretty common congregating area. When you come to school in the morning, like we'll talk to the students about this in a couple weeks more in depth, but like right now at Gibbons, you're assigned a place, right? You come in, you get dropped off by the bus, you're in, you have to sit in the cafeteria until that bell rings to go to period 1, or you're sitting in the auditorium waiting for that bell to ring to go to period 1. It's obviously a little bit more flexible here, but the lobby is an area where you'll see a lot of students congregate just to get ready for the school day. So kind of a special opportunity for students' involvement that we wanted to show you. Mr. Callahan's going to come back up now and talk about family involvement. You've seen a lot of pictures of student involvement, but we're going to move to family involvement. And I'll say, before I wrap up, students L through Z, looking forward to getting to know you. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you, Mr. Lefebvre. So there are ways to get involved here directly at the high school. You know, there are some community organizations, that certainly support our efforts, like Westborough Connects, Rotary Club and such. But the ones that are particular, specific to the high school are on the slide behind me. So Music Parents, Athletic Boosters, Ed Foundation, the High School Community Council. We'll be looking for representatives for that to sit with me, and it's 3-4 meetings a year, look at different initiatives, themes that we're working on, and also look at the budget and what the budget needs are, okay? There are school-to-business partnerships, as you heard Mr. Lefebvre refer to the Women in Science and Engineering. They bring in local, scientists, pharmacists. Our math teachers have brought in physicists. Our science teachers have brought in, biology experts, so on and so forth. So there's always opportunity to, to have our schools work closely with businesses and community members. Okay. We've had annually an attorney come at the beginning of the year to work with our legal studies class. That's a senior elective, but they work from a prosecution standpoint and also a defense standpoint. And our legal studies culminates in January with a trial. Right? That's the learning, right, for our seniors. So those types of things exist often. That is a little bit more formalized and structured, but our teachers do a nice job of reaching out. And their kids, the students, also do a nice job of that. So the parent role, okay, we've heard CEO before, but in our context, it's Chief Encouragement Officer, okay? Chief Encouragement Officer. And that simply means that you are supporting your child in a way that empowers them to take that responsibility. When I said earlier, the trick will be when the time is right for you and your family to release that responsibility to your child, your role doesn't stop, obviously, right? Just make shift a little bit in terms of encouraging, supporting, coaching. And this, I guess an example of where this would really come into play is if your child comes home and says, I can't believe this happened, okay? You encourage them to do something about it. If it's more than just listening and letting them vent, right? If something serious needs to, be responded to, whether it be how to talk, with a peer or how to talk with a teacher, that you make sure that you've encouraged them and coached them to the point where they're not leaving it a month or 2, right? The last thing that sort of anyone wants is you, as the parent and the child, to be at the end of your rope. when you bring something to us and it's the beginning of ours, right? I mean, that's the worst case scenario. Something that needs to be addressed, that doesn't work, okay? Encourage your child to see the teacher directly, see the friend directly or the peer, address it immediately, okay? That's when we all have the greatest chance on having some positive, successful resolution, okay, when it's early on in the process, right? The old adage is, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? Maybe you've heard that before. Well, that's one example of how you can encourage. Coach them up, be a collaborator, right? Ask good questions, how can I help at home, those types of things, okay? Doing it for them at this age, at the high school, is not as effective as it could be by coaching them up, encouraging them. I mean, it may be possible or necessary, but it's not the most effective way to deal with some issue that might come up, okay? So collaborating and coaching work more effectively. And it's back to this slide where, right, I said earlier, the teacher and the curriculum, the teacher and the student and the curriculum and skills. Well, the parent operates all around that, as do I. Okay, I'm here to support and help bring clarity to something. Okay, I'm here to help support teachers' professional learning. I'm here to help students interact with their teacher in a way that might be most beneficial to both parties. I'm also here, as are other administrators and parents, I'm also here to help make that meaning. So when they come to be a senior, that they can email their administrator and ask how they can have an independent study around genetic biology. I have a student who's a junior now looking to select courses next year, and he wants to do an independent study because he's ready to go deeper. We don't have genetics and biology, and get a bumpy name, I'm trying to shorten it. But I'll be meeting with that student, and that's how I can support him. Okay, what's it look like? So kind of exciting when it relates to their learning, you know, especially by senior year. Some of those things really take off. So I want to kind of go down a little bit more into the specifics. You've heard, you know, the offerings and opportunities that Mr. LaFave presented. I want to get now a little bit more specific as to what the typical day entails. So our school hours are similar to Gibbons, 8:06 to 2:37. 8:06 we say, not 8:10, we say 8:06 because we're welcoming people in, right? We're welcoming people in. I had a grandfather who instilled in me that if you're not 15 minutes early, you're 5 minutes late, okay? So we say 8:06 and we mean that. The bell will ring and we'll welcome people in. Teachers will be out in the hallways, administrators are out in the doors. This year, my post has been down with the buses, so maybe some of you have seen me out there giving you the thumbs up as you're going by, leaving Gibbons, or on your way to Gibbons if it's after school. That's what we do. We're out and about, okay? Not checking up, but making sure you're safe and ready to come in. So that 8:06 welcome bell is when we start, okay? But classes really begin at 8:10. And then it ends at 2:37. What's interesting though here at the high school is last class, period 6, let's say, will actually end at 2:27. But we do build in 10 minutes for students and teachers to connect one more time before they head off to that busy afternoon, okay? Whether it be an activity, a sport, a job, babysitting, a 4th grader that gets home sooner, right? Because Mill Pond starts maybe a little sooner than we do. That bus gets there sooner. So the 10 minutes we call flex time. Okay? If we're running some program, like an assembly, we keep all students till 2:37 and then let them leave. But typical day, 2:27, last period ends, and then there's 10 minutes to kind of catch what you might need before you go home, okay? Or to catch a head start, because you have a game and the bus is leaving at 2:45, and you got to change and see the trainer and get something to eat. So It gets busy, but we do feel as though there's opportunity to kind of process throughout. Classes are 54 minutes. Mr. LaFave mentioned morning break, okay? And then I just mentioned flex time. So we have 6 classes that meet per day, but a student has 7 total. But how do you do that? Well, one drops, right? One class drops. I won't go through how that drops and where it drops, but trust us, it drops. And the very next day that one class drops, it will meet that next day, okay? So 7 classes total in a kid's schedule, but only 6 meet per day. Lunch is 23 minutes. There's 3 waves of lunches. We have about 380 kids. What's nice about, so Gibbons Middle School student, answer for me, where do you eat lunch? At cafeteria. Good answer, thanks. The only place you can eat lunch is the cafeteria? Okay, well you've got actually 4 places to eat lunch here. Okay, I'll review them for you. Cafeteria, of course. Up the stairs from the cafeteria, outside our library, near the lobby, we've set up kind of like cafe tables. Okay? It's like a secondary little lobby behind the one that you've seen pictures of. So about 100 kids can fit in there. We get some benches as well, where the tables and chairs fill up pretty quickly. Got some benches. And that's a nice casual place to eat. It's not as loud as the cafeteria. Then we also put another 100 to 125 in the library. Okay, so that's the 3rd place you can eat. The library during lunch is open. Okay, it's a nice common area. It's great. It's fabulous. And one Friday a month we have music. So students will perform. They'll read poetry. They'll sing. Have a guitar. Sometimes karaoke. Okay, things like that. It's all student driven. Okay. Students need to sign up in order for it to happen. So there have been some months on a Friday where it hasn't, but typically one Friday we have Friday music and lunch. And then the 4th place is if a teacher gives you a pass because you're working with he or she, or it's a better place for you and your friends, teacher can have you eat in the classroom. Okay, so those are the 4 places you can have lunch. So again, flexibility, opportunity, that's one small but pretty big example. It really enhances those 23 minutes that you have to eat. And then of course, at the end of the day, there's always extra help and co-curricular and athletic opportunities. Okay, so we're gonna move now into kind of the academic piece, okay? So for course placement, which I'm sure is on a lot of your minds, like what's that look like? Let me say that primarily, the decision that you and your current 8th grade teacher make is what's going to happen, okay? So that relationship, I hope, is based on, by the time recommendations and placements come, about 140 days of assessment, right? What are you capable of doing? What do you want to do? Here's a course, you think you want to take it at a level 3 or a level 4, here's what you can expect. So I hope students will have those conversations with teachers. We have them here, and we've impressed upon the administration and the teachers down at Gibbons to have those same conversations, okay? I know sometimes you might see a placement or a recommendation end up in Power School. Well, I hope there's opportunity to talk about that, what that means, what you want. Here's what I want to take in math, here's what I want to take in science. English, I'm not as strong in, what do you think? So talk to your teachers about that. But 8th grade teachers will discuss level placements with students. It might have already started, but definitely through March 19th. Okay? As I said, teachers and students will talk what's interested in working to change the placement. So for example, if you think that you want to pursue our 9th grade natural and science engineering at an honors level, a level 4, but your teacher thinks that it might be best knowing the course up here, and again, 130 days of observing and working, that maybe level 3 at this time is the best placement. Okay? By the way, I think it's safe to say every teacher, even the ones here, want you to be the best and do the best. They want to put you in places where you're going to succeed. So it's not a personal situation, typically. But if you think that you really want to pursue an honors level science placement, then work with your teacher first and foremost. Okay? You still have 45 days to make up 180 to change that placement. Okay? You might get it now, but the opportunity for you to change your placement does exist because all placements will be finalized by June 5th. So there's time. Okay, that's my point. But it only will happen if you're involved in the process. Okay? And again, 8th grade placements are made based on current performance. Okay? Please note that if you're looking to be placed in a higher level of language or math, that there are summer exams, and that information will be distributed a little later this spring. Okay, so that's the course placements. We do have information that we will share when we come down to meet with all 8th graders. Myself and Mr. LaFave will be down on March 18th and 19th. We do have paperwork that we will send out to parents as well as give to kids, so you'll have something in hand. Tonight's not the night for that. You know, we will give you kind of that placement criteria and some of the other important information that will help you make good informed decisions and work with your teachers on. And what we're looking for every freshman to have is 7 credits, right? 7 classes, 7 credits. You need an English, you need a math, you need a science, you need a grade 9 history, you need a world language if you want to pursue world language. PE is a half credit, but also mandatory graduation requirement of health and wellness is the other half. So your PE and wellness is 1.0, split between those 2 courses. You do have electives to choose from: fine arts, engineering, business, comp sci, family and consumer science. And then some students do take an academic support if their educational plan, you know, warrants that. Okay? But that's a typical freshman course credits. And I said it a little bit earlier, so you want to pursue some honors level at math and science, but English, you know, I'm not a strong reader, or I am, but I don't like reading all that much, and writing hurts a little bit. It's okay if you go into scheduling courses with a sense of balance. Because look at this life map, okay? Look at this life map. You sleep 8 hours, and if you don't, you should. You go to school for 7, right? That's 15 of the day. It's more than half the day. It's already accumulated. It's already taken up. So what's left? Homework, job, family chores and responsibilities, sports, fine arts. What's left? So keep that in mind. If you have a schedule of all honors courses, please know what you're in for. Okay? Please know what you're in for. So the point is, be sure you're considering balance in your schedule. Okay? And also make sure that when you're picking electives especially, and levels, or working with your teachers on levels, that you align your strengths and interests. Okay? That is a real key to making sure that you're successful and not overburdened, overworked, too stressed out, and all those things that we hear all the time. Okay? We can't get to the learning, growing, and developing if there's obstacles in how people are interacting with the things they need to do. Okay? And what I mean by that is simply, if you're doing too much, how good is it all? Right? If you're doing too much, that it's causing other things to happen in your life, like lack of sleep, all right? Not coming to school. These are real things that we're dealing with, and we want the best for everybody, but these are realities that we have to work as a community on, okay? And to me, it starts with balance. It starts with balance and maintaining it. So, some important dates. I mentioned the 18th and 19th. Myself and Mr. LaFave will be down at Gibbons. We've got March 20th. Teachers, 19th, 20th will be making those course recommendations and placements. March 23rd, Power School opens for you to enter your course requests. All right, and that basically, you know, your teachers in the 8th grade will make your placement recommendations. You'll accept those for now, okay? And then you'll have electives to pick. So it's not a ton, but we like to show this slide just so you know what your responsibility is to pick the courses, okay? You'll have a full week to do that. Like I said, most of it's already done because you have to take certain classes as a freshman. So you get 7 days, which should be enough to pick electives. And then on June 5th, those recommendations will be finalized and updated if necessary. And then you'll get schedules in July. All right, we'll send out a nice email that says, take a look, let us know if there's any errors that you think there are. Okay, holes, you're missing in English. I mean, the system does, you know, it's not perfect, but it does do a nice job. We want to do a better job by hand. So we ask the kids to take a look at it. What is missing? What doesn't look right? Let us know, and then we'll spend all summer before day one, you know, to fix it. Okay? And then August 19th is freshman orientation. And I know we're all thinking that looks so far away, but we're already in March. You know, we're already in March. It just goes so fast. I hope we're enjoying it. So, who do you want to be at Westborough High School? Well, how do you want to get to graduation? It's another good question. Who's there to help you? Your friends, peers, your advisors, your teachers, of course, your coaches, your parents, administrators, school counselors. We all are, right? Back to that iceberg photo, right? Those mistakes, they should happen here. Of all places, they should happen here. How great this community is to support its kids and to support the educational institution. I mean, it has to happen here, and we're all in on it. So we are here to support students every step of the way. So let's review. Kind of shared a little bit of the opportunities to become involved and ease the transition to our high school. Shared a few examples through pictures and stories and examples that, that hopefully, you know, you can internalize a little bit. We will put this slideshow on the Gibbons website, okay, and ours. Kind of shared a few expectations for success, right? The formula, high standards, building a sense of responsibility and support. And we kind of shared a little bit of what the student and family experience might entail. And remember, it's not just about the destination, it's about the journey. All right. I want to thank you all for coming tonight. I do appreciate your time and your attention. We're down below for questions. Have a good evening. Thank you.